Hello, welcome to my channel, A Book Forest. My name is Kim, and today I'm going to be doing 5 series I want to start in 2026, and also my ongoing series that I am currently in the middle of. So I only have 5 new series I want to start because I usually try to stay at 15 ongoing series, no more than that. I find that it gets overwhelming after that number. At 15 you can have a varied types of series, like you can have sci-fi, historical fiction, romance, anything, fantasy of course, and you can have different types of fantasy and sci-fi, so that I don't feel like I'm reading the same series twice. Like it sometimes when you read like 2 epic fantasies with dragons in it at the same time, it gets confusing. I try not to do that, so I try to have a little bit of a variety in my ongoing series. So I finished a few series in 2025, so that freed up some space for new series to start, and I've selected 5 I'm really excited about. And for the reasons I just mentioned, I've selected 5 series that I think would fit in well within the other series I'm currently reading. So I'm going to start with the 5 series I want to start next year. I don't know when next year I'm going to start them, or I might read just 1 book from them next year, or I might just binge through them. I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. And also, I'm not saying I'm not going to start more than 5 more new series next year. I might start more than that. I leave myself open to like new release by an author I love, or something I hear in a booktube video that I'm really excited about, or even if I finish a lot of series, I can start new ones. So as long as I have no more than 15 at the same time, I'm good. So the first series I want to start next year is The Expanse by James S. Corey. So it's a duo of authors writing this, including Daniel Abraham. And I saw the TV series of this and I really enjoyed it. Like one of my favorite sci-fi series I've ever watched. So I'm really looking forward to starting this. It's a space opera comprising 9 books, so that's a long series, even though I think those are easy to read. So it's set in the solar system, and the humans have colonized the outer planets and the asteroid belt, and there's like voyages going in and out of the Mars, the Earth, Moon, and in the asteroid belt. And I think there's a lot of competition between those factions, like Mars and the Earth are in competition, and the asteroid belt are kind of the poor men. They're like really used for labor, and they're revolting in a revolt. So yeah, and there's a mystery, and it's like almost a police novel. So it includes a lot in science, and it includes a lot of different characters, like a big cast of characters, and they're all very I got attached to them on the TV show, so I'm pretty excited to start this. I'm not gonna talk too much about each book because otherwise the video would be way too long. Another series I want to start is Black Death by Minette Walters. So I read a series by Minette Walters this year, and I have videos like with the reviews. I'll link that down below. It's a historical fiction, and this one is set in the medieval period. It's not set like in the later Glorious Revolution, pre-Glorious Revolution period. It's really set like in the medieval times during the Black Death epidemic. So there's one lady who has a terrible husband, and she lives in a tower like with a moat, castle with a moat, and the Black Death happens, and she decides to just shut everyone in the castle. Nobody goes out, nobody comes in. That's kind of eerily familiar some recent events, so I'm curious to see how I will react to this. And it's yeah, like everything that happens, like her leadership, I think, like everyone around her, those who are in disagreement with her, those who agree with her, how do they do like how do they manage the food stores. I think it's very logistical, but if I know Minette Walters, she'll make it fascinating, and I love her, the way she does characters, so can't wait to see how strong and accomplished this lady is. So yeah, really excited for this. The other series I read, like the first book is The Swift and the Harrier, I highly recommend. I also wanna, like, I have a couple of epic fantasies on the go at the moment, so I'm not gonna start this one before I'm done with at least one of those. But I would like to read the Shannara trilogy, the Sword of Shannara. It's very classic, or like 80s fantasy, Tolkien derivative. I think a lot of people kind of view it from a bit of a, you know, oh, it's passé, like he had his time, but it's not current anymore. But I've always been attracted to this series. Ever since I saw someone reading it in a bus once, and I was like, oh, that looks great. And the description is like everything I love. It has like magical artifacts, magical trees, dark lords, like elves and promised ones, things like that. So yeah, I want to read like the classic fantasy. Like I want to go back in the, I've read Tolkien, I've read The Wheel of Time, so I want to go and read some more. And this is the one I had on hand, so I want to start this. And I'm attracted to it. So let me know if you've read this, what you think of it. Then I also would like to start something a bit lighter, a bit more YA adjacent. I think it's one of the original sexy vampire books, and it's called the All Souls trilogy. The first book is A Discovery of Witches. I think there's a TV series as well, but it has vampires and witches and a magical book, and I think time travel, which I'm not a fan of time travel usually, but I can live with it. So yeah, I would like to start this series this next year. It seems to be fun and has some romance in it as well. So yeah, a bit more lighter, you know. And speaking of lighter, I would also like to start the Chronicles of Masterly and Number 10 Ox by Barry Hewhart. This is the first book, Bridge of Birds. I think it's out of print. Like this one is still in print, but it's a trilogy, and the other two books out kind of difficult to come by. They're out of print. I got them on the Kindle. I think it probably means that the first book can be read as a standalone, and it's more popular than the rest, because otherwise why would you have this one in print and not the others? And it's a tiny little thing, but it's like Asian inspired. It's kind of a China, and I've read some Asian inspired fantasy this year, and I enjoyed them, so I wanted to put one more, like why not? And I think this one is more like Number 10 Ox is like a villager, and there's like disease going on, and he's seeking the help of a sage, of a scholar, a master. And this master, it says here that he has a flaw in his character, and I think I've heard that it's like a drunken master, so that's always fun. I'm sure it's hilarious. Like it sounds really funny. And then I don't know any more about it. I think it's like traveling and encountering like difficult or stupid or ridiculous situations and having maybe philosophy through it. I don't know. So yeah, it sounds interesting. And if I like this one, I'm probably gonna read the sequels, even though they're not in print, and it's really annoying when you can buy the first book and not the second and third, but whatever. So those are the 5 series I want to start in 2026. Let me know if you've read any of them and how you found them. I will then continue with the series I'm currently reading. And there are some that are kind of currently reading adjacent, and I'll explain why. So the first one would be the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I've read the first book, Assassin's Apprentice, ages ago, and I still haven't picked up Royal Assassin. not because I did not enjoy the first book. I enjoyed it. It's just I don't know. I guess I wasn't in the mood. But I do want to keep reading this series. The series has like very young protagonist. When you start with him, he's like 5 years old, and he's been abandoned by his family, and he's the bastard of a prince of the realm, and he gets dumped at the royal castle, and he kind of gets shut. Like, he doesn't have a lot of people taking care of him. He has a few, but he's very lonely, and he gets attached to the people taking care of him, and there's like, it's so heartwarming but heartbreaking at the same time. Like, he has magical abilities with dealing with animals mainly. Very interesting, and I think he has an animal companion, and this one, Night Eyes, I think, and I really want to read more. But the first book was great. It says Assassin's Apprentice, and you kind of apprentices as an assassin, but there's not that much of it. It's more politics and like personal growth and relationships, which is great, but it's kind of a slow burn. We'll see. Another epic fantasy I'm currently reading on the Kindle is what's it called? Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. They all seem similar sometimes, those titles. So Of Blood and Fire, I've read the first full novel of Blood and Fire. So is that the name of the series? I can't remember. The Bound and the Broken. That's what it is, sorry. So Of Blood and Fire is the first book, and I read The Fall, which is the first novella, and another novella that's a prequel, The Blood That Burns the Winter Snow. I love the novella The Fall. I liked the first novel of Blood and Fire, and the other novella was alright too. I'm just not 100% convinced it's the series for me, so I want to read the second novel, which is a chunker, before I make up my mind, because it's epic fantasy with all the classical tropes like chosen one, dragons, invasions, dwarves, things like that. Travel around the country, multiple POVs. So it's interesting. It's just I want to see if the author can actually make it way more personal. Like The Fall was so good, the novella, that I have high hopes. But the first novel is kind of paint by number fantasy a bit. So I think he was taking a lot of the usual tropes, and he was not entirely making them his own. So we'll see. So those are the two epic fantasies that I'm currently reading. I'm also on the Kindle reading Operation Otherworld by Paul Anderson. I've read the first book, Operation Chaos, and then there's Operation Luna. It's kind of real, like alternate universe, alternate world history, and it's werewolves, witches, everything is in vignettes. So you have the same characters living through different periods of their lives, and it's like almost like TV episodes, like one and done, but they evolve over the time. So it's very interesting, but I don't know, it's not a big priority for me. I only have one more book to read in that series. Another one I've been borrowing from the library is Robert Langdon. So the first book is Angels and Demons, and then the Da Vinci Code, which is really famous. So I just read like the fourth book in the series, and I have a couple more to read before I'm done. It's kind of a thriller, historical heist. There's different aspects to this series. It's a fun ride, so I usually pick one up when I'm at the library and I think about it, or when I feel like reading something a bit lighter. And then I'm also reading Foundation. I read the Foundation trilogy and I really enjoyed it. So I want to read the other quartet. Like there's another 4 books. So the Foundation's Edge is the fourth book, and I have no idea what it's about. Like, I think it's probably other happenings it's set in the first, second Foundation. So Yeah, the first trilogy was like really classic science fiction. It's one of the pillars of the genre, and everyone says like, oh, the characters are not well developed. It's mostly the theories and the world building and the notions. But honestly, I thought the characters were fun too, so I enjoyed, like, even though you don't follow them from A till Z, you kind of jump from character to character. I thought what the little time I spent with those characters, I enjoyed myself. So I'm really looking forward to continuing. I'm probably gonna do like a review of the trilogy before I start on this one, just to give like a foundation a foundation to what I'm going to talk about later, and also to encourage you to start it, because it's really fun. I'm also reading, it's a quartet, it's called Found Things by Paula Braxton. So it's kind of a historical fantasy, like a time travel. Like the main character is living in the modern world in England, and she has an ability that she can touch an object, an antique, and she has a link to that object, and she kind of knows where it's been, where like the history of the object. Like she has like a psychic talent to read those objects. Not all of them, like just they call to her. And the first book is called The Little Shop of Found Things. So she moves with her mother, who has arthritis, and she buys an antique store, and it goes from there. She finds an object, and she's kind of pulled back in the 17th century England. So, and there's like adventures. So if you enjoy that type of thing, I think it's a lovely little sweet little, yeah, it's kind of cute too. I like it. Also, that's the last book from the Howl's Moving Castle trilogy, so I still have that last book to read. It's middle grade, it's cute, it's fun, so it's not my main fare, so I will pick it up when I feel like a bit tired or too much like going on, so when I need something lighter. Yeah, I enjoyed the first two books, so I'm gonna finish the trilogy. Also, I read The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton recently, and there's a second book, The House of Fortune, which is after the events of the first book, and it relates to a magical miniature house, so dollhouse basically. So it's fun, in a family in Amsterdam in the 17th century. Kind of gloomy vibes and a bit creepy, but yeah, it's so I enjoyed the first book. I'm gonna keep going. It's only a duology anyways. And the other series I am currently reading is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. So the first book, The Three Musketeers, Les Trois Mousquetaires, I've read like a few years ago, but I also know this story inside and out and up and down. Like I've grown up with this story. Like in French, like in Quebec, we have like TV series, the movies, everything. So, and also the movie with Chris O'Donnell was really great in the 90s. And yeah, I know this story so well, but I have never read the second and the third book. The second book I don't own yet. It's called 20 Years Later, so 20 ans après. It's like 20 years after the events of this book. And the third book is the Vicomte de Bragelonne. I think it's The Man in the Iron Mask in English. So there's a movie. And yeah, so I think this story is pretty well known, but I really liked this book. It's really well written. I think a lot of people read The Count of Monte Cristo, which I've read ages ago. But if you don't want like the big brick of The Count of Monte Cristo and you want to try Dumas, I would say The Three Musketeers is a great place to start. Then I have ongoing adjacent. saying, meaning I think I'm currently reading those series, but technically no, because it's kind of the first series and then the second series, they're linked. So I have Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin, because I've read the 5 books from the Song of Ice and Fire, but I've never read Fire and Blood, and the Egg and Duncan Egg stories, so I want to read those too because I'm a completionist and also I'm interested. I don't watch the series on TV. I've started the Game of Thrones series and I got to season 2 twice and I always leave off because I don't enjoy fantasy on TV usually. The only thing I like is the Lord of the Rings movies. I prefer sci-fi like for TV series. I don't know why. Fantasy adaptations, they never stick. I also read the series Behind Me by John Gwynne. What's it called? Someone Will Kill Me. I think it's pretty popular, and like the Bound, no, it's not The Bound and the Broken. That's why like they all sound so similar. I don't remember. But this one is of Blood and Bone, and it's this like follow-up. Like the first book from the first series is called Malice, and it's kind of a epic fantasy, classic fantasy with a twist. Like very good, Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian inspired. And this is the sequel. I think it's set hundreds of years after the first series, so probably the characters in the first series we don't see unless they're very long-lived, because there are some long-lived characters. The Faithful and the Fallen. Oh my god. The Faithful and the Fallen is the first series, and this is the sequel of Blood and Bone. So the first book is A Time of Dread, and I really enjoyed the first quartet, so this is a trilogy. I wanted to read it. Can't believe I forgot this. Truth and Courage. Another one I read was An Ember in the Ashes. It's a quartet by Sabaa Tahir. It's set in a fantasy world where there's kind of Roman-inspired civilization and an Arabian type civilization, and there's like slaves and very difficult conditions for those people, and there's also magic, and Laia is the main character, and she's on a quest to find her brother and save maybe her people, and it's also love triangles, all the good stuff. But I enjoyed this series. It's worth reading, I think. It's kind of YA but lovely. And there's the author published Hair. I think it's in the same world, so it's kind of, to me, it's the same. If it's set in the same world, it's kind of an ongoing series, so I'm gonna read it. I don't know anything about this. I just bought it because I saw that it was kind of in the same world. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I think so. I think it is. Anyways, I enjoyed the first series, so I liked Sabaa Tahir and I want to read it. And finally, I read a series by Sébastien de Castel, The Great Coats, a few years ago. And this is like set in the same world, the world of the Great Coats. And it's kind of a sequel. So the main Great Coat in this is Estevar Boros, and I read about him in some short stories that de Castel wrote, and I enjoyed the character. He's specialized in magic, and in this world magic is very mysterious and it's very never really super explained, but it's very strange and creepy. And the Great Coats were set up by a king, and they have these great coats, like they're made of special leather and bone, and there's pockets, and they have all these different things in those pockets that are interesting, and they learn to fight with swords or other types of weaponry. But they're like kind of the noble, chivalrous lawmakers. Like they duel when there's like two people, two sides of the law, people disagreeing and they want a resolution, there's a duel, and if the gray coat wins, you die or you go to prison, or if you win, you're free to go. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. The first series, The Gray Coats, was with three characters, Kes, Brasti, and Falchio, kind of reminiscent of the Three Musketeers, and they were like really fun banter, horrible like happenings. Like Falchio goes through the ringer, and I got attached to those characters so much, so I want to read the rest of the books. So I think there's a couple more. I think that's it. I'm done. So let me know anything that, if anything that I've mentioned you've read and what you thought of them. And yeah, see you next time.